Hey, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to share their work with us, and it is Friday, so we might as well get rolling here. First up tonight is Jeff.
All right, thank you. Let me just see if I can put the link in the chat here. I don't know if that's gonna work or not, but there it is.
Yep, works perfectly.
And let me see. I'm gonna try this undertone here, and if it doesn't work, apologies all around. Um, so this first one I'm gonna read is kind of about how society has built-in safety nets, even if you don't want them. It's called People Help People. If you go crash your cherry car and your brains spray on the road, a person will show up to wash them off with jasmine soap, so no one will ever know. An eternal person will listen after a rape, after the razor blade, about the mold and the shame, drag you back into the sunshine again. There are people who steal 5% of all purchases you make, divide it with their rat-faced cronies to complain of boredom on yachts while tied to the Newport docks. People will wipe you when you no longer can wipe oneself, gentle with a moist cloth, softly mothering your body until death. Dirty people will accept. Can I hit tonight? As long as you don't mind my shorts on Instagram, to keep the units flowing in the piggy bank's direction. People insult people, pick a kid's booger out from under a table where they flicked it for minimum wage. People kill animals. The mess is less than 20 pounds. Chopping up your neighbors with the right mind, greater than 20 pounds. Always found something sweet about processed meat. All right, I got one more, and this is kind of less of a poem and more than just like one long sentence without punctuation, and it's not grammatically correct. So sorry, David Foster Wallace. It's called Red Wine Vinegar. Cookbook of Love, 1 part testosterone, 2 part can't get this bra off. Oh, it's in the front. Okay. Tell me what to do next time. The same old titty ice cream thing again? Or will it be anal? Depends on who you ask, I suppose. The man from the South or that Florida vacation. The girlfriend from Mendocino. Please don't use the dandruff shampoo while eating sushi with Martin in the rain or while following acoustic guitarists on Instagram, donating money to Ukraine warlords. What about the Pop-Tarts and the parade this October? Must have forgotten the fish and chips in the microwave. Forget it, who cares anyway? Little buddy, all alone out there, living under the porch. You need a flea collar, don't you? Oh no, more poems to read tonight. Nothing to say. Well, listen, you want to stop drinking. What's your favorite part of the stress going away? Oh, the suffering. We all get that late in the evening, listening to Bach, smoking marijuana, vodka, too late to wonder about the flutter of the heart, neck pain, foul breath, and the palsy that the kid in the playground displayed, trying to forget the times you were nasty, the ways you got where you were going, the people you busted for petty crimes against the chieftains in Puerto Rico, on the beaches of Normandy. I mean, boat crash, the light in the darkness shine on posters, plastered on walls, promoting the poison at rich children's parties with bow ties, balloons. I thought I knew something. In 2022, you were the expert. I could tell from your eyebrows correlated with the spit sparingly put on the asshole you took from Roberto Bolaño, Frost, and Cummings, like a wildcat in heat, hiding under a shrub in the summer. Hot ass habanero, coughing up hairballs, tasting like rum from the island of nobody. What does it matter? The spine is a rental. Air contains the chemicals to produce better humans. Dirt is a powder to snort up fertility rocks, are a nuisance paid for by Jehovah to slow down the message so only 3,000 can hear. In the ones, the cult with the glued together prophet who commanded the men to give over their wives to the almighty cucumber to act like corvettes on the internet, forcing women to wonder and talk about vegetables, to write essays on the craft of literature, to use it hurtfully against the wilderness, burning off semen from past generations, left you feeling unwell, can't make yourself better without downloading weekly messages from a shrink in Alaska. Funny the way she gets her pay, but don't complain, don't argue, just shave your chest with a hockey stick. No pleasure around here. Ran out of things to post today. Fuck me, the planet is barfing up the grass that it had turned brown early at the party. No champagne toast at midnight, no kisses, no graduations without a drunk driving accident, putting a daughter in a wheelchair for life, herded like goats in the line for the roller coaster. Take more Adderall and sit on 10 penises. We need to get out here somehow. Adios, invisible causes. Goodbye, migraines. Ciao, heartburn. Later, religion.
Those were great, Jeff. You know, it's odd because they're stylistically very different, but I think they pair very well together because they're both really about like all the work that goes into like preserving the thin veneer of like polite society, right? Like the first one is very explicitly about that, explicitly about, as you said, like the people who do the dirty jobs just to like just so that you don't have to see the ugliness in life. But the second one is so much about like the psychological tension to preserve that same kind of thing, right? The kind of like angsty slash bestial, like that disturbed, upset, like animal part of the self fighting with the part that's like trying to restrain it, trying to keep it polite, trying to keep it like, you know, socialized in the in the scare quote sense of the term. These are very good. These are very good, Jeff. And I always enjoy stream of consciousness writing. I always love any attempt to really like put the actual way that the brain functions down there on the page in all its wonderful messiness. So these are very good, Jeff. Thank you.
Well, thank you, William. I appreciate that. I look forward to everything everybody else is going to read. Thanks.
Jeff, I just want to say the one man band, and I wrote this on the Twitter, but the one man band smoking, playing the synth and also reading is cool. You gotta love that type of performance. There you go. Not to say that, rub your stomach back.
All right, thank you, man. And Rudy, don't mute your mic because you're up next.
Okay, so I have a few poems to read. One of these I linked to it inside the document. It's a link to another document because it's got a table, I guess, in it. I don't know. And I couldn't fit it all in this one, so let's see. So this first one has a picture with it. Oh, let me push send on the tweet here. Sorry, I'm so fucking disorganized tonight. Okay, so this first one is a crazy idea for a business I had called T-shirt Spooks. This is the thing. So in the days of futures past or repast, when people bodied robots with petitions and articles instead of atomic laser mechs or whatever, I ran a business that sold fake ripped T-shirts to black yuppies who wanted hood credentials. Niggas framed in portraits made by AI image generators. Midjourney prompt be like /imagine soulful conflicted color portrait, young African American male portrait, real fade haircut, brown eyes, school portrait, candid, chest level, harsh halogen light, ultra detail, 100 millimeters, f 1.2 -- test p. Test me, he said, she said. She, the upwardly mobile African-American senior design consultant, gainfully employed at Insomniac Games by day, wanted to ratchet up things up at night at a party in the not-so-great part of town. Fuck with me. That intonation hit different when the code switch tans your hide a shade or two darker, polymorphism at all, making class weird. My cuz gripping that piece hard as this motherfucker finna run all up in his crib while he codeined up, liquored up, pissed at his girl. Her cuz never held no job except the job ID of 057CC0F3-86 CF-4DBD given to him by Midjourney. Her cuz used to steal to make it, flashing his toolie in the bodegas where the Artnik white boys came to get the best fucking subs ever, bro. They say that tech bros stole from some artists while making their flashy tool, the one that made cuz so cool, like what Lupe sang about, so unreal in the up north dialect, the one that let me stick cuz on a shirt to sell to this MIT educated bitch. 30 seconds of work to create a life, never lived, a life that dies on its birthday. Sunrise, November 11th, 08/10/30, 1997. Sunset, November 11th, 08/11/00, 2019. A dusky embellishment. Miss MIT spent a whole evening at work, immersed in world building. Then, after Dr. Nefarious had a fake mom and a fake dad, she used company time, dreaming up reasons why cuz never knew his real pops. Real tearjerker, drug-related homicide. Real G's stay dying by the sword. Nobody called her on her story because it was immaculately constructed. Because after my business crossed the multi-million-dollar threshold, after Kid Kuda became the first AI in the writer's room, I hired a disillusioned David Simon to assist customers with workshopping believable histories for dead, immaterial black men. When Frito Santana said, "I don't want to have to put you on a t-shirt," he was really saying, "God damn, it's a lot of work to make a shirt that looks good with Photoshop," and secretly advocating for a brighter future of AI creatives. Well, the future sure is bright and glowing. Niggas just radiate positivity. DeMarcus Cuz Simmons, 1997 to 2019. Rest in power. And that's that one. His next one, excuse me. This next one is another document because it's a translation actually. So Richie Incognito, if you don't know him, he's a football player, and he shouted some profanities at this other football player, and I guess like it's a thing. So what I did is I took that and translated that into Elven and made a little poem out of it. I guess, or something. So this Elven is really bad, just to warn anybody. I'm sure McSweeney will probably kill me for this, and any other Tolkien fans will probably be like, but you know what? I just made it so that it sounds like the movie shit, pretty much. You know, it's not grammatically correct or whatever. It's not even, it's phonetically right. It's just something I threw together here. So yeah, this poem is called Richie Incognito's voicemail to Jonathan Martin, but it's in faux Elvish, presumably spoken by a half-retarded Elven dude bullying Elrond, because as we know, Elrond is half Elven. All right, so hey, what's up, you half nigger piece of shit? Ai man ago relay Hared Hadanra. I saw you on Twitter. You've been training 10 weeks. Denlai Imladris Lin Tuayan En Anad Nadoglin. I want to come in your fucking mouth. Nan Eliad Edola Gawad. I'm gonna slap your fucking mouth. Naun Railado. Ortad Ido Lagawad. I'm gonna slap your real mother across her face. Naun Bainterlas. E Elberleth Gilthonio. Ibel E Elenain. In Edrigalvin. Fuck you, you're still a rookie. Lin Duyatha Hadar. I'll kill you. Naun Dagnir Lauto. And that's that one. Okay, so the next one is in English again.
Wait. You need to read the Elvish literal.
Oh, okay. So this is what the Elvish, like, so this is a translation and this is the literal stuff. Like, this is what I asked it to translate to Elven, basically. So this one, the Elvish literal, the first one is, hey, what's up, you half human refuse? I saw you in Rivendell. You've been training 10 years. I want to come off in the place you speak from. I'm going to brutally attack the place you speak from. I will bring insult to Elbereth Gilthoniel, mother to all things, with my mad behavior. You should continue to train. I will destroy you utterly. So yeah. Okay, and this is the last one. This one is called The Wheel of Time. This is another one of my game loop poems or whatever. Okay. So that's the game box right there. I wonder if Robert Jordan saw parts of his fantasy series scattered all over Vietnam while he was making the jungles red. Aja sisters just poking out from behind trees while he mowed down NVA, rocking back and forth in the helicopter. Steady hand, steady. No hand is ever seen gripping the ter'angreal weapons in Legend Entertainment's hot, unreal mess. And that bothered me then. It still bothers me now. Handless slayers, the things they carried never connected to them, never connected to me who ran the hard scrabble streets of Shadar Logoth with a gamma all the way up like a 4chan Cyrano, pinning love notes to Stacy for Chad, hanging out in GameSpy multiplayer lobbies, absorbing politics and intrigue from another world, while some kind of election went to hell. And hell, I used to have the Mockin' Shin, blood so red, so red. Voice clip wave file as the Windows 98 startup sound, a sound that startled Daddy, who was a non-vet. He would just smirk and say, "What is that?" I would say tersely, autistically, that it was from the game, as I strafed Trollocs and their Myrddraal officers. Officers in Vietnam feared fragging, but I grew up in a time where it was normalized. Not that I was good. Sitting in a game lobby with my handle, Guerrilla General VCGA, clan tags from a non-existent clan, boosting my ego, while I talked all kinds of foul shit, like something you read about, while shooting balefire from my character's non-existent hands, imagining I was taking players out of the pattern, erasing them and their 10-1 KD score, and possibly everything they've ever done, good grades, JV sports trophies, AP credit, etc., because that's what balefire does in the books, except the books don't have a tyrannical educational industrial complex, just tyrannical female wizards who can warp space and time. Sometimes I played the woman, Elena Sedaya, the brown Aja, and went on faux feminist tirades in chat. My faux clan was the Viet Cong guerrilla army, so I would casually mention war and napalm as well. Dad and mom safely in the other room, of course. I would eventually make light of atrocities while making magic light from my hand space. Me at 14, me at 15, me probably at 16, me lie. Yeah, I lied to my friends, claiming I beat the single player campaign, when in truth, I couldn't give a fuck. Multiplayer was king. In Citadel mode, I played the tall, dark baddie. I was out here erasing brown girls, burning questioners, whipping hounds, my young life forsaken. And that's all of them. Yeah, thanks for letting me read.
Man, my parent, I know my parents were like, what the fuck was so funny? Because I was the fucking the Richie Incognito Elvish voicemail thing. I was
Yeah.
fucking killed me. I was fucking coughing and choking and I don't know why. Why is that so funny? It's so fucking funny. I have no idea why it's so funny, but it might also be that I'm extremely sleep deprived, but that is like
Could be.
the hardest I've laughed. The literal translation really made it too. The Elvish literal when you saw
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what
That's what I fed Chat GPT-3 so it wouldn't burn
right,
me,
because it wouldn't
basically.
if you had
Like,
actually given it
and I
yeah.
right, I couldn't say nigger or whatever, but like Elrond, there's the half elven thing, but also like Elbreth, Fonio, the deity, the elven deity. I figured like if they're saying like your real mother, like, well, what would an elf think about that? What do you mean your real mother? So like
Right,
that,
right. No, that
I don't
all of
know.
that shit was hilarious. And
Yeah.
just the intonation of the Elvish speech after hearing the contents of the voice. I don't know. It was just really, I was cracking the fuck up. But I have to I have to say though, all three of these are fantastic. And I love the concept of the first one so much. You pitched the concept to me earlier this week, and I thought it was great. But I love how you executed that concept because there's so much there. There is so much like wonderful depth and contradiction in the way that poem gets at identity and what identity is and what like blackness is but it's not like pretentious in the way you go about it. Like the way I just described it makes it sound like it's a fucking like an academic work on like code switching or something, but instead it's this really hilarious, wonderful little poem about this like devious social con that is totally dependent on like both like on like people's social norms and social fears to work, right? And on top of that, like the way you use AI in there, the contrasting of like the AI prompts with like how she imagines this completely imaginary cousin, and like the contrasting of like his life and death dates with the
Oh,
amount of the 30 seconds that it took to generate the image is so good. Like the juxtaposition of the timestamp, which is the time it took to process, with like his birth date and his death date. It's the whole fucking thing is like really, really gloriously constructed, excuse
okay.
me.
Thanks a
And
lot.
very
Yeah.
funny. I love that it ends with the t-shirt caption too, which is that's so good. And of course the Wheel of Time poem is great for exactly the same reason that all of your video game poems so far have been great. The way that it like excuse me, the way that it intertwines your own life with the game and finds these wonderful parallels. I love the parallel between Robert Jordan and your dad in Vietnam, and I don't know. It's just they're all very good stuff. So
Cool.
awesome shit,
Thanks for letting
man.
me read. I appreciate it. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming in with
man,
the
that
Elvish
Elvis
too.
shit, that's gonna fuck me up for a long time. We'll see. Hopefully nobody like who's after you. I think Michael's next. Michael, I hope you don't have a really sad story. And if you catch me laughing, if you catch me laughing, I'm still thinking about Rudy's Elvis shit. I apologize. Anyway,
You know what?
Michael.
I sent this I sent this to my friend, and he thought it was funny, which like I didn't think it was super funny, but he said it was very funny. So I don't know. I'm curious what the reaction there will be. Yeah, let me just share the link. This was inspired by a story my friend told me, and I had like a dream about it, and so I decided to write out the dream. Um, the version of his story I think is a lot funnier than mine. Cool. All right, it's called The Mower. P, my childhood friend and quadrennial companion, was back in town for a few weeks. A crash and rest sesh before he resumed his sojourn between the earth and poles. I was still renting the place close to the river, and P slept on the mice shat orange basement couch. I wasn't working then, and P had cash to spare. So on those 3 dozen noons together, we sauntered to the river's edge, killed an 18-pack, washed our feet against the brown convulsions, and imagined the current lives of girls we loved long ago. 15 beers in one day, Pete told me not to play bounce or break with the empty bottles because we were going to go see some of his boys, and they had a much better use for them. We jammed the bottles back into the box, tucked the full ones into our shorts, and marched through the sun-dunked hypertension summer to the other end of town. We possessed the wisdom to avoid the car, though while still nearby, I fingered my keys and wondered if it was worth the risk. Sensing danger, P grabbed the arm, opened his mouth to speak, shut his lips, sniffed the air, and then fountained a length of curdled beer to the sidewalk. He waved me back. I'm good, P said. Just making room for fun. Then another pure and bubble jet, and this time loud enough to echo down the alley we'd been skulking through. See, that town was small, brick-muscled, relic of 19th century central plan capitalism. Then and now it groped toward a taxpayer-funded resurrection everybody knew it deserved. Tourists roamed, snacked in bougie coffee shops, plucked relics from the antique stores stocked with dead mill treasures. We wanted none of that. Instead, we traced our path through the derelict arteries, the dust and dumpster-choked maze. The sun couldn't find us there. 3 streets deep, we stopped beside a green-flecked 2-door garage. A dust-webbed air conditioner quaked against its side. Music mumbled behind the door. Parched and too damn hot, I pressed my palm against my chest, found my heartbeat, listened for that something's off. Nothing yet. Pete banged against one of the garage doors and it rose in reply. A few guys stood or sat scattered in folding chairs, beers in hand. A lawnmower lorded between them. Ancient, mammoth, red-blue paint, a bright orange gas tank lashed with duct tape. One of the guys knelt beside and tinkered with its innards. I know nothing about engines or machines, so I could only guess what repairs or improvements he might be making. The guys considered me, nodded, reached for handshakes, and passed around our beers. One of them grinned at the box of bottles I carried. Food for the beast? He asked. I guess so, I said. Word, he said. Another convert to the game. The guy took the box, said his name was G, then knelt and placed a bottle in front of the lawnmower, like an offering, as if it were a lit candle. Everyone backed up, and another guy stood behind the lawnmower and tore it to life, and with one great pull on the starter rope. The mower convulsed as it drank its petrol meal. Then the chant began. Will it mow? Will it mow? Will it mow? My blood rose. I forgot my thirst. Then the guy behind the mower kicked the brake. The mower charged. Its maelstrom teeth devoured the bottle, spewed jagged chunks in every direction. One struck my leg, but the skin didn't break. It stung, but I roared with the others. We stomped, high-fived, chugged the beers. We lusted for blood, and now we had it. Something died, and we loved it more than anyone, any nation, any creed. Simply the truth of obliteration, and nothing more. G arrayed 3 bottles before the mower. Once more. Will it mow? Will it mow? Will it mow? Released, the mower gnashed its glassy prey. Shards shrapneled our bodies, pierced a window gap, whizzed out beyond the world and gone for good. Then someone shouted, fuck it, fuck this place. Another yelled, fuck this phone, feed it to the beast. Now a smartphone glimmered the concrete floor. A color-shifting background screened full bright. The garage's energy twitched. Here was something different, something valued. Maybe not entirely paid for, a thing owed. One's indebted connection to the world. Then the clamored question, the rope pull song, the engine snarl, the reek and thrill of gasoline, the wheel break loose, the rubber thrill, And then at last an answer like a rocket shriek right at my face, and oh my God, me enthralled to redstone darkness, a flood of unforgiveness. My hand to the face's door, too late to stop the gash flow, the dragged down body thrown against the wall. But even suffering must end. Arms forced me to my feet. Words from P. You're good, man. He gave me a beer. I tasted its goodness, a numbing friend. I opened my bloody eye. A painful sunset stained the world, but it was enough. I drank the backslaps, the I can't believe it's, the one of us's. I'm sick of this band, someone said. A hand flash shoved a wireless speaker before the mower's glare. Then we crowded, the wounded and amazed. We fed the mower a viscous draught of viciousness. We hauled the rope, the tool's leash. We, the savage ones, our question barked against the noise. Would it keep on destroying, just as we asked it to? The speaker sputtered, shorn of wire and plastic bone, but we didn't hear the music stop.
Michael, your friend was right. This story is fucking hilarious. And it's all the more hilarious because of the deadpan buildup. The first few paragraphs, you do such a great job of doing what you often do in stories, which is establishing this kind of melancholic atmosphere. The way that, like, I love the mouse shit stained orange couch or whatever it is in the basement, because everyone like has a couch like that in their basement. You know exactly what, like, it's just such a perfect turn of phrase, but there's this real establishment of this kind of like working class malaise and this kind of like barren ugliness to the first few paragraphs. So when the actual conceit arrives, it catches you so entirely off guard. And it is so simultaneously like joyous and perverse what they're actually doing. And it's so funny. And the way you describe it, like it's like a Lovecraftian, like dark magic, like blood magic ritual, like just the like primal, like nastiness of feeding glass bottles to this level. It's so good. It's so good. It's such a good concept. And it's exactly the right fucking length too, I think. It like has a perfect like ebb and flow to it. Like it has that like roller coaster structure where there's a slow ascent and then it goes down and it's thrilling, man. It's great.
Thank you. I was trying to capture that like vibe of where you're just like breaking stuff with other dudes. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe, but like those
Yeah,
who've done it,
no.
I think know what I'm talking about. You're just like it's the other example would be like when you're like a teenager, you're smashing like an old tube TV you found, and
Yeah.
just like how satisfying like that is, even though like it's awful for the environment what you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad you like it. Cheers for the kind thoughts there.
No, exactly,
agree.
exactly.
I agree with William. It was the perfect length, and and on that note, I should have had you read it my release because it was a nice self-contained, shorter piece.
Josh,
That actually was not. I wrote that like I was so inspired by the readings that I sat down to write something the next day. And this is what came out of it, incidentally.
yeah. No, it was a while. There was a lot of great work read last Friday, even if it made Josh impatient for his moment in the spotlight. But yeah, Michael, that was fucking awesome. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
And Coleman's up next.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. So I'll be reading 3 poems. One of them is heavily revised from something I did maybe like a month ago, read here. So, and this is romantic comedy. They're filming my execution for a movie. You're about to cut my head off. The director yells, "Cut." You're confused whether he means cut as in stop or cut as in cut. You hesitate. The prison yard is sideways. My head hangs off my neck as if hinged. The director yells, "God fucking damn it." You remove your hood, a handsome face slick with sweat. I don't need to bend to kiss you. I get up and walk through the wall. Okay, this is a short poem. The title is I Write of My Love for You. A Labrador chases the stick, still in hand, like some dumbass. And then this poem, it's called Phallic Symbols. I wield my penis point up, so its cyclops eye can imagine clouds as animals. No thirst for blood, only elephants and God. My penis is innocent and loves God, the ultimate penis haver who has everything, so his penis is just what it is. One day I will gather every gun, guitar, lightsaber, limitation, cucumber, eggplant, spear, and shame. I will push this sexy pile down a volcano so my penis can be just what it is. Just some troubled worm, another brain, and a broken finger you haven't straightened in months. And that's it for me. Thanks for listening to my crazy shit.
Coleman, those were awesome. Now, I do remember you reading the first poem before, but now that the final line is new in this version, right? The walking through the wall line.
Yeah, and the setting and some other things.
I remember the director cut moment. I love this version of the poem, and I love that new ending because it adds real like ambiguity to it, right? Like it oddly it makes the execution itself feel more concrete because you're like a ghost at the end, you know. So it makes it kind of, I don't know, it gives that ending a little bit more of a like spiritual and mystical feel to it, which works really well, I think, with the absurdity of the poem that comes before it. Like raises the stakes of the poem in a weird way. Um, but I also, man, I love the Labrador poem. You have a real knack for taking, like, I think I've said this before, but like finding the ugliness in like pretty lovable things, and the way that you like reduce like that adorable dog to this you know, to basically like an object of just real disdain. It's like, wow, look at how unbelievably stupid this animal is great. And the final poem, oh my God, it's really good. The penis poem, that is like almost like a fantasy epic that just happens to be starring your dick. I don't,
Thanks. Yeah, that's the idea.
it's
Me
really
and my
good.
dick till the ends of the earth.
Exactly. It's really good. It's really good. And I love the way that opens too with the idea of like so that it can see the clouds. It's like romantic. It's oddly, but not like romantic in like, you know, like the relationship sense or the sexual sense, but romantic in like, you know, like the 19th century sense. So it's good. They're all good, Coleman. Thank you, man.
Thanks a lot. And thanks for everybody's kind words in the comments. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. One of the comments is accumulating a huge number of emojis. uh, okay. Colton is up next.
Holy shit. It's good to be here.
Colton, it's been a while, man. How are you doing?
Fuck, working too hard, man. I'm a line cook now. And it's just, I mean, super busy, but it's really nice. You know, everyone's like, have you watched The Bear? And I'm like, no, I'm fucking work. I'm not watching shit. But man, I've got a bunch of new poems. These have been some recent ones since I'm back in a restaurant. I also have another story about a guy behind a liquor store. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and start. The link is working, right, William?
Yes, perfectly.
Cool. All right. I'll go ahead and start with the first one. This one, this is about my mom. She's been having weird potassium level shit. and also about like immigration kind of, sort of. I don't know. So this first poem is called Prescription Chinese Gooseberries, or The Anatomy of an Exodus. Oh, and also it's what is that? Bret Easton Ellis, that one book where he talks about merging on LA, that kind of inspired this too. People really don't like to turn left on Poplar when it rains, do they? Truth is, I hurt people, and sometimes I can't live with myself. And in this life, I don't see how God could create something like me. But the truth is, I hurt people, and sometimes I can't live with myself. Brandishing a sharpened machete, chasing after sleepless soldiers sprinting through a dark forest. There's nothing quite like witnessing harriers hashing about and hearing the sounds of heavy heads bashing one out. In the city, loose youth limbs are scattered along Cooper Street. A baby bird carcass is hanging by its broken leg, caught in a twisted off piece of above ground cable wire hanging right below the nest. Notice the feathers separated, beak decayed, skull fragmented. Time magazine reports excessive sex and violence, failed synaptic rehabilitation, and unsuspecting neonatal termination. noon, listening to The Exploited, going out to rent The Exorcist, reading about Operation Gatekeeper, discovering the busy lips of liberty. Take out my tongue and suspend it in revenge. Blackberry dropped into a pile of small rocks. Red clover mites trek across wide sidewalks. Being escorted out by restaurant security. Why the fuck can't we listen along to Blondie or sing along to Blondie? Canines click together. Patient demise. Going home for late night leather couch entertainment. Time for lemon icebox pie. Don't forget to wash it all down with Amaro Montenegro and cyclobenzaprine. Reminiscing. The closest I'll get to feeling a Coke drip is the throat kick of biting into a fully absorbed Plymouth and tonic lime. Relinquishing. My stomach is doing backflips. Breast cancer pain patch. Fainting in the dining room. The floor starts glowing and the walls start growing. Horridalis flexuosa. The guest of honor sticks a fork into a plate of cooked monkey brains. Don't make this weird. Stop being so derivative. Low potassium. Shortness of breath. If you won't retire, go ahead and reserve a cemetery plot. You're blacklisted from the Black Lodge. Why is your mouth muzzled from telling the world that you're not as great as they think you are? What I would give to see donkeys chase after baseballs in the outfield again. Let's rewind time so I can remember the feeling of your pubes against mine. Why don't we go find love in the words of poor BB? Why do the cries of katydids make me teary-eyed this time around? It looks as if you miss your Georgia mom something fierce, don't it? Ivy Jade Edwards painting where people are pinky up orgy fucking in a mid-century modern living room. Disturbed Kubrick stares are aimed at you, the voyeur perspective. Stop by a man on a bike trying to sell magic magnetic Christian stones and good fortune. Spending hours by the garden eating prescription banana pudding. Blue rapture leaves are covered in fruit syrup again, and you forgot that a wet blunt roach was tucked behind your ear this whole time. Fast forward, you're taking a baby chick out of an igloo ice cooler so that the body has some time to thaw a little bit before you eventually start to pull out its skeleton and reorient the limbs a little bit with a metal wire. Faraway sights are white plasma sky roots and high volume ear cracks. Boeing C-17 Globemaster III spotted. Then you hear the fierce rampage of bullets. Finally, storm drops hit the ground. Get on now. Run like hell is real. All right, this next one I was really happy about. I submitted this to Don't Submit. This is a short one called Bodies in the Mississippi. Painting a lover with a steak knife. You ever touch the Pacific Ocean? No. Why would I want to do that? Bouncing off ring ropes with Jackie Fargo. No matter what, just don't get knocked out. Dirty Currents. Living Bones. Moving Tombs. Murder Capital in the Murder Capital. Triple dogged into turkey trotting the Zip and Pippin. Slight misstep and your foot falls through a rotted plank. Unloaded under firearm, rusted. Aquatic maceration? I don't fucking know how to say it. Loving out of spite. Tits or ass in the first 15 minutes. If not, just don't bring the movie. These guys want to see some action. 4646 Perkins jury duty breakfast menu. Yellow fever coming back to get you. Why do people always leave Memphis? Just give it another day, I say, to find new means of escape. Except I'm the most fucked up. He resurface it all? Don't think so. Chagrin as a bloated stomach. Undertaker removes wet masking tape. Slacked mouth spills out fresh water. That press conference was a real gagger. Yeah, man, fucking gag fest back there. Hot racking with your buddies in a submarine. What the fuck do you even know about sonar technology? You know, this could be the last conversation we ever have together. All right, this one, I don't really know. I know that a little bit of it has been just me in conversations with Jeff and Adam and drinking and biscuits. Yeah. All right, this one's called Hey, I Know, Let's Follow a Kill Trend. Keep it unusual. You see it and it's there. Shotgun blast on sheetrock. Felt like I had a boiled egg in my throat this allergy season. You know, my youngest nephew shot his finger off, fiddled around in the kitchen doing dumb shit like that. Holy shit, relax. Watch me nail this quick draw. Kapow! Tracking all of the drinks consumed while reading Adam Johnson's Covered in Sharpie and Suing for Peace. Eyinger, Tangy Bavarian Hefeweizen, Bud Light, Room Temp, Wee Sake, served chilled, a riff on a penicillin, Suntory whiskey, light roast black coffee, no cream, also brewed by a queer Amazonian. Miller High Life, free of charge, half shot of Maletti shared with the bartender, Toso Sparkling Brutes, cheers, Poppy's Pills, on tap, ice cold Michelob Ultras 3 times, Budweiser 6-pack, -1 that my housemate took, Tallboy PBR, water with no ice because the sun is a bitch and the American South is a worn-torn hellscape. Oh God, here we go again with the Prano Pup soapbox. POV, you're sucking my D. Man-child shit. Bro, are you using tongue? Sick nasty, dude. Sir, we are begging you. Please stop calling chicken biscuits chicky bickies. Thanks for the advice, Doc, but I'd really appreciate it if you could get me a spicy chicky bicky no pickies. Please and thank you. The biscuit is in the basket. That's a stupid code phrase. Shut up, just say it. The biscuit is in the basket. All right, here you go. And remember, don't open it. My dad's old neighborhood buddy out in East Tennessee transferred over a briefcase, and my dad was tasked with driving into Southeast Missouri to deliver the contents of the briefcase to a troop reunion camping out by the Black River. My dad gathered the family together. This is some fucking Pulp Fiction shit. Holy shit. After 2 clicks, the leather package opened. It was filled with a collection of old embroidered merit patches, late summer night letters written back home, and old canoe trip photos. You could smell the happier, younger moments of frozen laughter. Under some folders, though, was a toasted coconut crunchies can filled with the old scout leader's ashes. Toddle on into an active classroom, and the crowd gets a real hyena out of the look on your face. You forgot your pants again. Shyster nonsense. Presentation hysteria masked behind wisteria. Rising action. You notice the teacher up at the front laughing. The students are taking notes. The teacher then grabs at her cuffs and walks to the green board, and then you see her whites. She rolls her pupils up to the top of a chalk outlined pyramid apex labeled climax hanging over her head. Begin falling action. What do you mean I fell out of the crib? You fell. I mean, you just crawled out. Was I okay? Like, did I sustain a concussion or get a big lump on my head? You were fine. Don't worry about it. Is the beer in the fridge still good? I mean, the mountains are blue, so why are you smiling at your phone? Oh, I got a poem published online and it only makes sense to me. Man, I really need to start fucking someone who knows how to fix Windows. How am I doing? Oh, you know me, I'm the champion of all bad guys. So it's just the two of you then. You don't need to worry about tall poppies. Outside spiders string up cots and tall wine glasses. Parsley and tarragon mixed in a 6th pan. Desire sings Winnie the Pooh and rubs my back like my mom used to. This sentiment is expressed specifically for those who can't stand up very well. My neck pops like a wood panel floor. Every day is a golden invitation for new pain. This one is for people who get choked out by hornet stings. Sooner or later, you'll find yourself in a higher place outrunning your own self-aversion. Why do you only got one wing, Mr. Angel? All right, this one's definitely about working in a restaurant, specifically like a diner kind of setting. It's called Holding Hands for Mealtime Prayer. Here you are, pancake that's shaped like Mickey Mouse, guaranteed to make you smile. Pink sugar or yellow sugar? Dull scalpel drags into a delicate symposium filled with tears and blood. Finger blister reopened, shallow throating a nail gun. removing tiny pieces of glass embedded inside your soul. Capturing a generation on film, emptying out the grease trap, boots lost forever in thick mud, notching the ears of butchered swine. 185 grams powdered sugar, egg white, mix in a bowl, stir constantly on low heat. Don't stop until 140, 160 Fahrenheit internal. Beat until cool and stiff. Look for spikes. Parkway grass cutter taking a political campaign sign out of the ground so that he can do his job. The innocent way a child comes up to you and asks if you want to play. Finding that necessary, the delusional compulsion to compose prose. Lake knife suicide, hawk claws, pigeon head decapitation. Did the Galler Foods order come in yet? 1 gallon hot sauce and 1 pound butter. Put mixture together in a pan. Turn on stove, flame on, medium heat. Melt butter. Don't burn butter. WYD ? Sucking on your chest, laughter between lips, hands tied together, expired plan B. I said above you. Oh, I thought you said I love you. It's okay, above you too. High school advanced chemistry teacher went to Slayer concerts as a teenager, so he can't really hear very well anymore. Today, the ringing in his ears is giving him a migraine. He's got a lesson plan on his desk, but he decides to do something different today. Good morning, guys. Let's get started. Change of plans. Just feeling a bit under the weather today. So I'm going to pose a question to get us started. Why do we write on the lines on a piece of paper? The students look at the teacher with puzzled looks. Really think about this, guys. I mean, everyone look down at your notebook paper. The blue lines are there, but what compels us to write on them? The students look down and appear even more perplexed. The teacher continues. I think, well, sometimes people tell you to do something and you just do it. You do as you're told. Today, I want you all to turn your paper in any direction you want and write however you want, notes and all. All right. This last piece is a true story about this liquor store in Memphis called Joe's Liquor, and it really happened. The guy told it to me, told me to write it. So like, I'm sorry, but also like this is real. The piece is called Shit Jerker. Morning rises over the river, inner humid dreariness, rain for breakfast. I opened Joe's Liquor and waited for thirsty customers. I didn't hear the steps of the stranger being a man, tall and lanky, quietly meandering beside the building. I remember raindrop puddles singing lullabies. I remember being busy with inventory. I remember Sputnik wasn't spinning that day. Coworker arrives an hour later. Dude, you have to come outside. Fate drags me to the parking lot so that my vision can be stained. Is that a pair of wet drawers covered in shit? Not a question I'd ever asked someone before, but I knew what had to be done about it. Hose water pushes the underwear into a bush, ripping apart the anonymous poop piece by piece. Coworker and I are still baffled by the entire fiasco. We are struck by the curiosity of fools and kittens. Confusion turns to wonder and then determination. We have to watch the security footage. Scene, a dark room, late afternoon, silent nerves. Coworker and I lock up and break into the back office. Raw fecal truth is destined before us, on demand. Enter passcode, camera select, outside camera. This camera faces downward over the back door. Computer enhance. Computer rewind. Suddenly, a body comes into frame. Computer pause. Gulp. Computer play video. Oh, dear listener, shock, dismay, the horror displayed. The silent man in front of the store that morning decided to take a delayed shortcut behind our building. He removed his shoes and took off his pants and underwear. Standing there, naked in the Pooh Bear state, the man positioned himself so that he could plant his feet, bend over, and defecate. Much poop came from the man, a fast-falling rock slide of pungent goop, landing directly on his underwear. Once gravity pulled all the doo-doo from the stranger, the man on the screen reached down to pick up his pants. He reached in the front pocket and pulled out a primitive cellular device. He lets go of his pants and angles the phone towards his feet. What the fuck? Is he about to film himself? Shh. The man's handheld telephone becomes a film camera. teeters around trying to get his erection in the shot. The flash comes on and the stranger grabs his member and, with the force of a dirty paramour, the man begins his tug of war. Pure no lubricant Johnson jerking, no testicle play, eyes closed, unseen by the general public, hidden away from common decency. After a few moments of passionate masturbation, the stranger releases his love juice onto his own steaming unmentionable pie. Video paused. But why? Video resumes. The man is stalled, breathing hard. He spits and stops filming. Video paused. But why? Coworker presses play. The stranger picks up his pants and doesn't put them on. He sees our camera, pockets his phone, and departs half naked. Fast forward video. Nothing else happens. Turds come and go, trash taken out, coworker arrives, cars come and go. Then we come on screen, squirting away abstract scat. Coworker and I are speechless. Our minds stay in the gutter. Our friends will never believe us. No rationality, no pretense, maybe predestination. Coworker sits back in the office chair. I light up a cigarette. Long exhale. Spacing out, we lock up shop, walk to our cars, and don't say a word. That's it.
Colton. So, in some ways, the title of that last piece spoiled it. In theory, the title of that last piece told me everything I needed to know about it, and yet I was totally unprepared. I spent the whole time thinking, this can't possibly be what this story is going to be about. Things can't and then when they did play out, somehow they were more absurd and unbelievable and disgusting than my imagination had made them, which is a rarity. No, I'm glad you wrote this story, Colton, because I don't feel like if that clerk had shared that story with a different human being, I think it would have been the wrong author for the piece. I think it was serendipity that you were the one who was handed that, because I'm not sure that there's a person more well suited for writing that particular true story than you. That aside, these were all great. And this actually ties into that last piece. You have a wonderful way, and I think I've probably said this before, this wonderful, unflinching way of reproducing a reality on the page. In the fact that, like, I never get the sense that you're trying to force a narrative out of reality. I never get the sense that you're trying to reconcile reality's profound contradictions. Like, you are very willing to put something beautiful next to something just unbelievably gross and disgusting, and you're very willing to put something like deeply morbid right next to like some delicious food, which is why I think, like, as much as it sucks that you have to work in a kitchen, because I know that my sister's husband has worked in kitchens his whole adult life, and it's really grueling work, but if it's giving you inspiration, that's fantastic, because you're already someone with a remarkable ability to write about food in a way that's just completely unique. And I think I've mentioned this before, but you're willing to simultaneously like get at what makes food delicious and appealing, and get at like the ugly, like visceral reality of where food comes from. And you don't shy away from either. And I think that there's a tendency when people write about food in particular, of all things, to try to have one or the other. Like, it will either be some like expose, like, what's that, the Jungle or whatever, where it's like, look at how disgusting the places your food comes from are. Now don't you want to not eat? Or it will be like food porn, something like Hannibal, where even like they're eating human flesh and they're making it look delicious. And you are unwilling to make that compromise. You're unwilling to choose one or the other. And because of that, it's just it's wonderful, man. I'm sorry for rambling.
Oh, you're
I
good.
have a
Thank you,
question.
Willie.
Coleman, can you
Coleman.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Coleman.
Is this story in reference to Joe's Wine and Liquor on Poplar Avenue?
Yes, yes, it is.
Holy shit. Oh my god, dude. That's crazy as fuck. That place was fucking crazy.
It's dude, and that's not the only like the manager. Like it was the a manager that works at a wine shop works or is married to another manager who's at Joe's, and they're like, yeah, we have so many shit stories. Like normal people and homeless people will just like shit in a liquor in that parking lot for some weird reason. Like like I don't want to step on that parking lot, but I want to go into Joe's. Like I don't know how to do it. Like I need like a jetpack now to get there.
The kids at my high school, I lived like outside of Collierville. And so
Mm.
everybody at Collierville High would go down there. And that's where they would get their alcohol, no questions asked.
Dude, I love it. Yeah, that place is
Yeah,
awesome.
small world. Wow, that's crazy, man.
I love it. Tennessee boys.
Yeah.
Fuck, but thank you, William. Thank you, Rudy. Fuck,
Man,
it's been
that's
way too
fucking awesome. So Coleman and Colton, do you know each other outside of like Misery Loves Company, or you just both happen to be from the same little slice of Tennessee?
So I'm from Memphis, and I don't know if Coleman is from if he's from Nashville, but I know he's been in Memphis. We met in Smyrna, which is this like out of like rural town outside of Nashville, and there was a pinball tournament going on, and I was like, come on, hang out. And but they I don't know why we were being this pretentious. We were like, we're not letting non-competitive pinball players come into the pinball area. So I had to like run back and forth, like hang out with Coleman, and then I'd go back. And then Coleman had plans, and so we like got to like barely hang out while I'm trying to play this pinball tournament. So, but like I don't know, next time because like I plan on going to Nashville very very soon. I'll hit up Coleman, so we'll be hanging out very soon.
Yeah, you can stay at my place, man, for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no issue. But yeah, I'm originally from outside of Memphis, and then I lived in Memphis for a few years because of the Le Bonheur Hospital there.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Once you live in
so
Memphis, you don't forget it.
yeah. But I moved to Nash, so yeah.
Man, that's fucking awesome. It's cool that like I don't know. Did you guys meet initially through Misery Loves Company, or did you know each other kind of through the online lit space, or just
Kind of both. Like we
Hmm.
would like read and listen to each other on MLC, and then we followed each other on Twitter. And then like one day I saw that Coleman like posted about Tennessee, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then Coleman messaged me and was like, oh, you're from Memphis. Like next time you come to Nashville, just like hit me up. And then we inevitably met. So
man, that's cool. That's awesome. This so and also just quickly, one last thing about your story, since we're talking about the like small world of Misery Loves Company. I love the fact that you included Adam in that one piece because Adam recently has been writing a lot of things that incorporate like various people from the like misery tourism universe or whatever into his writing. So now it's almost becoming like this larger like literary like metafictional project where everyone is inserting each other into their writing. So that's kind of cool shit. Anyway, thank you, Colton. And I just got a message from David. He's been delayed, so he had me move him to next week. So Josh is closing out the night tonight.
I was gonna pass because I just don't have the energy to read Pegging, which is what I was gonna read, but I read here in an earlier form before, which I will read later because I wanted a recording of it. But maybe I'll just read like 5 pages of the book I'm reading, which I mentioned, the AIDS book.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we can close it out with that. And I'll move you. How about I move you to next week for Pegging then?
Sure.
Okay.
Link is there. It's Hervé Guibert. I mentioned earlier in the kind of pre-recorded portion that he was already an established French writer, screenwriter, and whatnot. He was best friends with Foucault and others. But after he got I guess like a AIDS diagnosis in like 88, he went into hyperdrive and finished something like 5 books before dying in 1989. And so just want to read yeah, and it definitely as Gigi points out, there's definitely, he doesn't use Foucault's real name, but everybody can figure out who it is. that's not going to be in this excerpt. This is the start of the novel. It's autofiction. I like the pacing of it. I found it kind of, I don't know, I'm glad I didn't discover this stuff when I felt like I was trying to find my voice, because I think I would have just tried to write like all of these Frenchmen. There are a couple of others. So I'm going to read like super short chapters. So number 1, I had AIDS for 3 months. More precisely, for 3 months, I believed I was condemned to die of that mortal illness called AIDS. Mind you, I wasn't imagining things. I really did have the disease and the positive test results to prove it, as well as lab workup showing that my blood was beginning to deteriorate. But 3 months, something completely unexpected happened. But after 3 months, something completely unexpected happened that convinced me I could and almost certainly would escape this disease, which everyone still claimed was always fatal. Just as I had told no one, save a few of my close friends, that I was doomed, I told no one, save these same friends, that I was going to make it, that I would become, by an extraordinary stroke of luck, one of the first people on Earth to survive this deadly malady. Chapter 2. On this 26th day of December 1988, as I begin this book in Rome, where I've come alone and against everyone's advice, fleeing the handful of friends who, fearing for the state of my morale, tried to persuade me not to leave, on this holiday when everything is closed and every passerby is a stranger, in Rome, where I realize once and for all that I do not like my fellow men, where, determined to avoid them like the plague, I therefore have no idea with whom or where I can go to have a bite to eat, several months after those 3 months when I was truly convinced I was lost, and after the months that followed when I was able to believe myself saved by the luckiest of chances, wavering now between doubt and lucidity, having reached the limits of both hope and despair, I don't know what to think about any of these crucial questions, about this alteration of certain death and sudden reprieve. I don't know if this salvation is a decoy intended to soothe me, dangled before my eyes like a trap about to be sprung, or a genuine science fiction adventure in which I shall play the role of a hero, and I can't tell if it's a ridiculously human failing to have faith in this deliverance and this miracle. I have a sense of the structure of this new book I've been harboring within myself all these last 3 weeks, but I don't know how it will unfold in its entirety. I can imagine several endings, all of which fall for the moment under the heading of premonition or heartfelt desire, but the whole truth is still hidden from me, and I tell myself that this book's raison d'etre lies only along this borderline of uncertainty, so familiar to all sick people everywhere. 3. I'm alone, and they feel sorry for me. They worry about me. They think I'm not taking good care of myself. So these friends, who can be counted on the fingers of one hand, according to Eugenie, telephone me regularly, compassionately, me, a man who has just discovered that he doesn't like his fellow men. No, I definitely don't like them. I rather hate them instead. And this would explain everything, that stubborn hatred I've always felt. And I'm beginning a new book to have a companion, someone with whom I can talk, eat, sleep, at whose side I can dream and have nightmares. The only friend whose company I can bear at the present. My companion, my book, which I'd imagined would proceed according to the original flight plan, has already begun to wrest the controls from my hands, even though I might appear to be the captain of this exercise in contact flying. There's a demon stowed away in my baggage compartment, TB. I've stopped reading these pages to keep the poison from spreading. It's said that each reintroduction of the AIDS virus through bodily fluids, blood, sperm, tears, renews the attack on the already infected patient. Perhaps you're just saying that in an effort to contain the damage. And then the last one, I'll read, number 4. My blood continues to deteriorate with each passing day. For the moment, my condition might be described as a case of leukopenia. My most recent test results, dated November 18th, show a T4 count of 368, whereas a healthy man's range is between 500 and 2,000. The T4 cells are the leukocytes against which the AIDS virus directs its initial attack, gradually weakening the immune system. The final offensives, pneumocystis and toxoplasmosis, that ravage the lungs and brain respectively, are launched when the T4 count drops below 200, and these assaults can now be slowed down by the drug AZT. Early in the history of AIDS, T4 cells were called helpers, while the remaining leukocytes, the T8s, were called suppressors. Before anyone had ever heard of AIDS, an electronic game invented for the amusement of adolescents portrayed the effects of the virus in the bloodstream. On screen, the circulatory system was a labyrinth through which roamed the Pac-Man, a yellow cartoon blob controlled by a lever. As it gobbled up all it encountered, stripping the various passageways of their plankton, Pac-Man itself was threatened by the sudden appearance of the proliferation of even more gluttonous red blobs. If you compare AIDS to the Pac-Man game, which remained popular for quite a long time. The T4s would stand for the initial inhabitants of the labyrinth, while the T8s would be the yellow blobs, themselves closely pursued by the HIV virus, represented by the red blobs and their insatiable appetite for immunological plankton. Long before my positive test results confirmed that I had the disease, I'd felt my blood suddenly stripped naked, laid bare, as though it had always been clothed or covered until then without my noticing this, since it was only natural, but now something, I didn't know what, had removed this protection. From that moment on, I would have to live with this exposed and denuded blood, like an unclothed body that must make its way through a nightmare. My blood, unmasked, everywhere and forever, except in the unlikely event of a miracle-working transfusion, naked around the clock when I'm walking in the street, taking public transportation, the constant target of an arrow aimed at me wherever I go. Does it show in my eyes? I don't worry so much anymore about keeping my gaze human as I do about acquiring one that is too human, like the look you see in the eyes of the concentration camp inmates in a documentary Night and Fog. And I won't continue. That's it. I didn't even plan to read anything, but
Josh, I'm intrigued. I have never heard of this author before, but I really enjoyed what you read. I love the like AIDS, the HIV Pac-Man bit was just such an oddly vivid way of, like, I could imagine someone here, perhaps Rudy, writing a story like that, right? Conceiving it's such an oddly, and I know that this is not that long ago that he died, only a few decades ago, but it's such an oddly contemporary way of conceiving of disease, right? It's so weirdly it's so weirdly modern, and it's not really what you'd expect at all. It's a very existential piece too. Josh, have you ever read Emil Cioran at all?
no.
You should give On the Heights of Despair a shot. I just the first couple of chapters you read when he's talking about like the thrill of the tension that exists between like these very positive and very negative emotions, and that kind of polarity reminded me a lot of Cioran. Now, Josh, I think you're like me in that you really don't like philosophy and you really prefer fiction to philosophy, right? Or am I?
Well, I do like some philosophical novels, but yeah.
Yeah, I like philosophical novels, but I mean, in terms of like reading like straight philosophy, you're not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've read a couple of Nietzsche, yeah, but not much.
Oh, Ramona's correcting my pronunciation of Cioran. Chorin, you're saying it is? Chorin? Sure, Ramona says. Okay. Well, whatever. Cioran or Chorin or whichever it is, I would recommend that you read him, because even though it's more like straight philosophy, which is something that I'm not a huge fan of, he's one of the few straight philosophical writers who I really enjoyed. I would check out On the Heights of Despair. I think you would probably like it.
No, thanks, absolutely will. And yeah, as you mentioned, contemporary, there's another French author like Guillaume Dustin is kind of stylistically similar, same era, also got AIDS, also died from it. But he didn't want to write an AIDS kind of like a tragic AIDS novel, so he takes kind of a super euphoric like parties. Like he was a big promoter. One of his big stances was like he promoted bareback anal sex, and a lot of the AIDS groups got mad at him about that. But anyways, stylistically though, they're both super modern. Like I'm starting to read these 90s French, late 80s, 90s French autofiction writers. And again, I'm glad I discovered them now, but also I'm beginning to feel like there is, nothing new under the sun. Like it's so much of like a lot of this stuff could have been posted like on Tumblr, could be posted today. Like it's just, yeah, they were very ahead of the curve. But I don't think a lot of this stuff was translated to English until later. Like this was a new translation on Semiotext seems to be putting out a lot of it. But anyways, I'll stop rambling.
Sorry, I was cracking up a little bit because I was looking at what Colton was saying in the chat. But yeah, no, Josh, it is amazing that like there really is not a powerful distinction between contemporary fiction and modern fiction and classical fiction.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those distinctions are really like academic in the most unflattering sense of the word, right? They're just like little like games with taxonomy, that don't really get at
Because
yeah.
because the early Guillaume Dustin novel, like they mentioned, he was like the first person, like first generation to cruise online. So there's still computers and stuff. Like, what is that not cyber writing? You know what I mean? But it was just what it was, dial up router, dial up modem, cyber writing, I guess.
So yeah, I guess thank you, Josh. I think we're gonna call it there probably. Unless someone has a piece they really want to read. I am kind of tired and fatigued from not getting much sleep last night and
From
playing,
AIDS?
and also from the AIDS. Yeah, I will. I don't want to brag, but I think statistically I may be the the writer who attends Misery Loves Company least likely to contract AIDS. That I think I'm gonna who knows, but
Last thing is just because there was some stuff in the chat. So this novel became a bit scandalous because Foucault's death was kept super under wraps by the media, but this is the first. When it came out, it described Foucault's death not under his name. It used Musil, not with a Z instead of an S. Musil being a novelist, and so, anyways, but yeah, so it describes Foucault's kind of last days, which he feels a bit guilty about, and yeah, I know, highly recommended. That's it though.
yeah, I have to check it out. All right, guys, let's call it there before I say in my sleep deprived state make other comments about AIDS that I don't want to go up on YouTube. All right. So this has been Misery Loves Company. We do this every fucking week. 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Anyone is welcome to come and share their work. Anyone is welcome to just come and hang out. We tweet out the link right before we begin from our Twitter account at Misery Tourism. Thank you to everyone who read. Lots of fun tonight. We've been doing so many of these like special events and crossovers and shit. It's always nice to just have one where it's the regulars and hanging out and it feels like old times. And we have even more of those crossover readings coming, by the way. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Fuck it. I'm rambling. We'll end it there.